Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the digital asset investor, and these markets have been doing well. $3.04 XRP. I'm kind of not counting on, but I'd be happy if XRP just blasted off from here. But between now and legislation, I'm expecting all kinds of pullbacks or market manipulation type stuff. But don't worry, I'm prepared. I am positioned right now with my stuff at Caleb and Brown. I'm ready to send, and this is how I do it. I'll get Caleb and Brown. I'll go on. I've got my broker over there, and I'll send him an email, and I'll say, like, if let's say we had a dip and it went down to 275 again, I'm gonna say, hey man, all the cash I got sitting there, just buy XRP. And when I do that, within five minutes usually, I get an email, trade executed. Here's how many XRP you got, and it outlines everything. Here's what you paid, all the stuff. And I get a PDF with the trade and everything that happened. It's awesome. If you want to get free institutional custody and you want your own broker that you can talk to, or you can email, or you can direct message inside the app, and you want OTC liquidity, Caleb and Brown's my partner. That's one of the places to do it. One of the places I do it. You can go to xrpwealth589.com and it'll forward you to my page here on Caleb and Brown. You just hit sign up today. Paul Barron, what all-time high happens first in October? Look who's winning. Let's hit the refresh button on this. XRP $5 plus is winning with 48.5%. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Then we've got Trump considering sending U.S. taxpayers up to $2,000 stimulus checks using the tariff revenue. I can assure you the crypto market would boom with that. And also this, 90% chance the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates again in October, according to Polymarket, who's more accurate than anywhere. After the Fed's September rate cut, $7 trillion is parked in U.S. money market funds, poised to flow into risk assets. Historically, patterns show preemptive easing often fuels crypto and equities. Lock in. And then this is Citigroup's, one of their analysts. Listen to this.
Is based on flows. We've seen a huge amount of flows in the last year, and we continue to expect those flows to be realized. So flows into year end, and then flows for the next 12 months. That is really the key determinant of the bull case, but even the base case for both Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Where are those flows coming from?
The ETF is the best proxy, the best high frequency proxy to measure those flows. And that's where you see pretty consistent inflows. Now, recently we've seen a pickup in flows from digital asset treasuries. Those ones potentially are not as consistent, and it depends on how far above their NAVs the stock is trading. And so we see those premiums, if you will, decline, but they're still above one, so it still makes sense for them to be buyers as well. But primarily we see the ETF flows as being the catalysts.
Okay.
Okay, let's move along here. Okay, I had played one or two clips from Phil Kwok on the NASDAQ, but here's another clip I don't think I played.
So Phil, let me follow up to that for a moment here. What are some of the key advantages of using stable coins over traditional fiat or other types of crypto?
That's a great question. Number one is this cheapness with which you can transfer. So for example, if you transfer a stable coin like ORLUSD, which is issued by Ripple, then on the XRP ledger, you can transfer that for literally fractions of a cent. Super fast and super cheap as well. When we look at the cost of a wire transfer, I'll give you an example. We recently ran a prize competition for our community, and some of the prizes were very, very small, just as guaranteed prizes. We sent $10 to one participant. It actually cost her $5 to receive it because that was the price. It was a $15 wire transfer. So she actually lost $5 because we sent her 10. So absolutely insane. That's just one example of how stablecoins are making it a lot faster and a lot cheaper to receive and send payments.
Okay, look at this. SBI Ripple develops XRP ledger payment system for Japan's tour industry. OKX launches Singapore stablecoin transactions via Grab and more. Pretty interesting stuff. Now here's this was from Swift Sybos. Listen to this. An interoperable world.
Yeah, I mean, look, interoperability is the kind of crux of everything, right? As you said, there's not going to be one ledger to rule them all. And quite naturally, interoperability is the kind of area of focus from a community standpoint over the past number of years. We've obviously, at Swift, been doing quite a bit in this space. We've been doing this from a traditional financial infrastructure for a long time. Again, from a correspondent banking standpoint, various RTGS systems, CSDs, where we're providing that connectivity from a communication standpoint. And now enter DLTs and all these different tokenization platforms that are taking place. We've done a number of experiments in innovation over the previous couple of years to demonstrate how you can have that same infrastructure, provide connectivity and interoperability between the traditional space and the digital, the tokenized space, but also importantly between all the kind of new DLT platforms themselves. And so we've done a variety of different efforts. Obviously, we've been quite public around a partnership that we had with Chainlink from a few years ago, and some of the work that we've done there, leveraging the cross-chain aspect. And so we think that there's a huge piece there from obviously a technical interoperability, but then to your point around standards, this is also fundamental, right? Part of why all these different systems today in the TradFi space work is because there's a standardized language and a standardized way of communicating, and that the same is going to hold true as we move into the digital space. And so there's obviously a piece around standards for smart contracts, standards for tokens. I think we're starting to see a gradual evolution towards what some kind of potential standards could be, just based on obviously adoption, and that's something that we'll continue to drive and be participating with the community. I think that one thing I'll just kind of give a plug to. There's a demo that will happen tomorrow for a standardization aspect that we've been working on with a couple of large CSDs to cover some of the business taxonomy around these things and how the various tokens could be implemented onto different technology ledgers, irrespective of what that technology is. It's something that I think the community is longing for, and there's a need. And I think the work is just getting started in earnest.
Okay, and they're saying, I don't get the investor newsletter from Ripple, but this was going around. They're saying this is from Brad Garlinghouse in the investor newsletter. Swift announced it has built a prototype for blockchain-based share ledger to be added to its infrastructure stack, initially focusing on real-time cross-border payments. I've received a number of questions this week about this and what it means for the industry and Ripple. What's interesting about this to me is there's a few things that don't come out of Ripple, which cross-border payments is underlined. It looks like grammatical errors. This makes me suspicious of this. I've received a number of questions. Frankly, it made me realize I haven't shared enough recently about the thoughts I have around. See, this is worded weird. It makes me think it's fake. I'll read it anyway. And perhaps I'll spend some time on the competitive landscape in an upcoming note. I digress. It's true in the early days we did view Swift as a major competitor, but the reality is in the time it's taken for them to announce a prototype, we've been building robust digital asset infrastructure, expanding on our payments product to custody, from our payments product to custody, stable coins, development on the XRPL with more recent acquisitions. Also, we've dug into the Swift news, and it really seems more like a marketing play than in the lead up to their annual conference, Sybos, rather than actual meaningful product announcement. Who knows if that's real, but it's interesting anyway. This guy is talking about how he thinks Bitcoin is going to head to $1 million in a short and violent way. Well, you know what that means for XRP. I'm all for a short and violent price rise. Bring it.
If you look at the failure of fiat currencies, they don't gradually fail. They fail spectacularly. And this is the premise behind the 1 million Bitcoin call. That it's not going to be a gradual, slow increase to $1 million a coin, but rather a very short and violent upheaval that sends us there in a matter of months, weeks to months.
I like it. Now, Chris Giancarlo was on with CoinDesk. I've got several clips. I'll play you this first one, maybe one more, and then do the other in the group.
If we get crypto right, it's a whole new birth for American finance. We're in a deep hole when it comes to debt. The only way out of our debt burden is through economic growth. if we can recapture some of the rents that are charged, some of the inefficiencies in our financial system, and bring them back to capital formation and allowing economic capital to be formed, businesses to be built, new enterprises to lead, that's our way out of our mountain of debt. We've got to get to sustainable 3.5–4% economic growth over a decade or more and grow our way out of our reckless spending. And the way to do that is to free up our capital markets. And so this is much more than just number go up.
Yep. Well, I guess I'll just show, I've got some great clips from Christy and Carla. I'll show those in the group. Go to daixrp.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these YouTube videos, or you can hit subscribe on X. You get the full video plus the extended video with no commercials. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family, away we go.